folks, I'm Melly Little and this is your daily TA wrap, where we take a look at these markets and we do it from a neoclassical perspective, each time asking ourselves what happened today and what does it tell us about tomorrow. I do this show each night 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday, live at 9 o'clock Eastern Time here from the base of the beautiful snowy Rocky Mountains. Folks, talk about what happened today. What happened today is not the same as what happened yesterday. Of course, yesterday we didn't trade. What happened today? We went over the highs, folks. We were up over the highs today. We were up there 5-6 points higher. Almost got to about 1858, I think. Let's see what the number was today. 1858.71. Volume expands, doing 40 here compared to the swing point high of 37.7, and the one over here 23. That top 1842. We're at 1847 on the close. We're a point underneath the highs at 1848. Well, 1850 actually, so we're about 2 points under them. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you 2 things actually. One is you failed. You failed at the highs, right? But you failed only on price, right? You didn't fail on volume. Volume expands compared to this high, right? So if you take this guy's high, you line them up, there's a little bit more volume here than there was over there. That says you're going to come right back after this thing and try to go get it again. Now, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but it certainly can be. So when you go over in this kind of a situation, you come back underneath, and in this particular case you broke a swing point high here. Did you not break it on the closing? It doesn't look like it. Let me look at this again. That number is, yeah, it's 1849, and we closed at 47. Yeah, so we didn't break either of the 2 swing point highs. So the 2 swing point highs are still up there, still to be broken. You're hitting them with volume. You're going to test them some more. Now, the nice thing about this is that we may get that shakeout kind of move that I was kind of hoping. I was hoping that we would stay down here, right? Hope's not a good betting strategy, but it would have been nice if this thing would have done some more work down here, right? So that it wouldn't get a failure on the breakout. Now that you got the failure, you may see some selling pressure come into this as a result. I wouldn't be surprised if they go right back up there and try to get it again, but at the same time, we definitely could get some backing and filling first, which on a longer term basis would actually be better. You would much rather see it here than to go up here, take it out, and then come right back down, right, and break back down again. Because think about what's happening here. If you get over the highs, right, if you pop up here and you close up here, what happens? You should leg away because you got 2 swing point highs you're breaking. If you don't leg away and you come back at it right away, probabilities are pretty good you're going to fail on that retest to regenerate higher, right? If you can't leg away after breaking 2 swing point highs, you're going to have a much better chance of coming right back down and breaking down, especially now. And what I mean by that is today's move, this big tail that you have up above, is a result of stops that were up here getting blown out. So you go up, you blow out the stops, right? You're shaking the trees on the stop side. And what I mean by the stop side, I mean the short side, right? So the shorts, whoever was short, right, they had to try to cover up here, right? So all your shorts are buying back shares up here. That's pressing this thing higher. Then you come back and close underneath. The most ideal thing now would be come down and take the weak longs out as well. So you take your shorts out, you take your weak longs out, you go sideways for a little while, and then you can actually take this thing out and go, and you'll build up some more stops up there in the meantime. So at this point, yeah, you traded up there, you left volume up there, that's all good. You can go right back. I would rather see it stay here for a while. We'll see what it wants to do. There's actually some other clues that are suggesting that it is going to break out before it's over. Russell volume expands. You're going after the highs. That top on the Russell is 81.34. We got to 80.29, so we just shy of it. We're pushing it with volume. The volume up there is 397. You're doing 401, so you're pushing up there. You got decent volume. Again, leaves a little tail, not as bad, but a tail up there. But still, the price action is good. NDX has been the strongest when it gets over the highs. Still has volume, so there's no sort of reversal of any sort. The IXIC gets over the highs. This is the Nasdaq. This is the one that retested and regenerated already. This one's actually stretching away, and this is the one that suggests that we may just go right back after it again, because this one stayed over the highs. Even though it's got the tail, it stayed over the highs from yesterday. That's a pretty bullish sign. And then if we go look at the laggard over here, the Dow Jones pushes with a lot of volume today, if that's real. I think it's real. I'm not sure why so much volume, but anyway, if it's true, there's a lot of volume pushing up here on that. That looks to go back up there and test again. I'll try to get another quote system up here and look at that in the meantime. All right, so if we go look at the sectors, actually let's do something else. Let's go back to the world markets. These are also suggesting higher, in particular Europe. So if I go to the DAX, the German DAX is pushing those highs. Doesn't have volume, but it's pushing up over the highs, and it got over, just like the SPX was trying to get over there, its downdraft bar. This one finally got over it. That one's going to try to climb higher as a result of it. If I look at the FTSE, remember the FTSE had almost finished up an ABCD structure but wasn't quite done. It pushed more. It's pushing lots of volume still. It's at the high. It's fixing to take it out. And I would think it's probably going to try to take it out tomorrow and finish off the ABCD structure. The CAC swings up even higher highs. So Europe, extremely strong. If I look over at Asia, Asia was weak last night, in particular in China, and Hong Kong felt it. Although Hong Kong actually tested underneath this big volume bar and back over it. So Hong Kong may surprise us tonight and actually hang up there. That actually was a test failure to come lower off that volume bar. Taiwan didn't do anything. The Nikkei really didn't do anything. We can look at that. If we look at who supplies, or not so much supplies, but if we look at the commodity countries, so there's the Nikkei, and that actually could press again. Here's the Nikkei, the Toronto market. That one yesterday looked like a failure. It looks like a failure again today. I suspect you're going to get a pullback there, even though it's fighting it. If we look at Australia, Australia actually looks to be failing. So Asia is going to have a tough time moving higher on the back of what we're seeing here. Hong Kong looks like it may be able to hold, but Taiwan was down. Taiwan looks to come down. The Nikkei is really struggling. Here's the Indian market working up to that high, and if we look at Brazil, Brazil's not really doing anything. So looks to me like China's going to be a struggle, go sideways kind of action. Australia looks to be trying to fail. We got Canada trying to fail, but we got Europe strong. So tonight probably, you know, quasi weakness overnight in Asia, and then we'll see if that European market wants to push higher again. If I look at the AUX markets, right, the auxiliary markets, here everything's still in line for the equities to try to move higher. The TLT can't sell off, right? It's just not selling off. It's still hanging up here, and it's not pushing back and pushing rates. You know, it's not going back to the highs, and it definitely doesn't look like it wants to break down and push rates up yet. So that's still good. If you look at the dollars really can't get going, which is kind of odd when you're talking about more easing in the euro and tightening here, and the dollar still can't rise. So I can't make sense of that one. And then we look at gold and silver. You know, gold skies up again today, but the gold stocks couldn't go with it anymore. That still looks like a very tired market to me, but yet it won't come in. That's like, what, 2.5 months of straight up now. And silver, they keep leaving tails. They left it here with the doji. They left it again today. I think that, you know, a lot of people, what happens when you get these kind of runs, especially in commodities, where things have been beaten down for a long time, which they have been, because if you pull this over, I'll just pull it to a monthly while we're here on the silver market. You know, this has been a pretty bad sell-off, right? And it's been 2 years or a year and a half, you know, just crushing anybody that tried to get long. So you'll get these big spikes just like back here, and then they struggle. Now this one may be finally putting in a bottom, but it's going to take time to know that, and I suspect you're going to see these things turn on everybody that's pressing them, and they're going to have to scramble to get out of them, and you're going to see some big wide price spread bars on the way down. And the question will be is, does the volume come out of them or not? Going over now, I want to go back to the sectors real quick because I didn't get to these yet. So if I pop over and look at the sectors, good. Somebody checked on the Dow for me. Thanks. I appreciate it. The Dow showed 2x average volume, so that Dow number looks right. I don't know why all the volume in the Dow today, but clearly there was a bunch of money pressing into Dow stocks for some reason, or trading in the Dow. All right, let's go over. I want to go over to. Thanks for that update. If I go over to the sectors, let's look at the sectors and view this in the context of new highs being made in the S&P today, yet they failed. So sector-wise, the transports is pushing up towards this, you know, breakdown bar, fails, leaves a long tail, has less volume. That still cannot get going. So the transports are still a problem. Then we go over to the semis. And this is the other side of the coin where, you know, if you look at Europe, Europe looks like it wants to go higher. That's probably going to try to pull us higher. Well, if you go look at the sectors, just like the last time when we were looking at the weeklies, the sectors look like they want to stay here or push a little bit lower. Here's another failure. This is the second one, just like we just saw on the Canadian market. Here's the second failure on the semis today. That's 2 in a row now. And folks, that is an extended move. When we talk about extended moves, it's pretty hard to get more extended than this in terms of time. I mean, this is straight up, no break. Right now, you're starting to lose that parabolic slope. Right, this thing's going to come back. It's going to retest and regen off of this bar. And that's not that far down, but that's a pullback, and when it happens, it's going to make it hard on the NDX, on the Nasdaq to keep skying, because it's about a third of the NDX. So that one looks like it wants to come in. Then I go look at the basic materials, and maybe this is where the Dow got some of its volume, because they had huge volume escalation. They didn't get to the highs, so that, when you look at something like that, that to me looks like volume coming off the highs. In other words, you're up here, you're testing and testing, you can't make it, and then the volume expands as you come down. That's not a good thing. So that's 3 in a row so far, not looking so good. Then we go to a couple that did okay today. XLE. XLE presses higher, volume expands, although it left a tail like everything. It got over the big bar it was fighting against, over that swing point high finally. So that will get a trend transition to bullish tomorrow. That looks like it will attack those highs maybe tomorrow, but certainly before long. So that one has actually turned to a bullish setting. If I look at the financials pushed up today. They didn't have the volume. That was a failure. That one actually looks to try to come back again. But then I go over at the industrials. Now we saw big volume in the Dow. These didn't have the big volume, but they pressed right up to the top. They didn't have quite enough volume as they got there. 11 over there, 9 here. That looks like a failure with a big tail. Looks like it wants to come back in. Technology, right? How many have I said are bullish so far? One. And that was the energy market, which has been the weakest one. Technology gets over the top, back under, but it does have has more volume. So that one also can try to test higher again tomorrow. That's two of them. XLP doesn't have the volume, gets over the highs, fails. That one looks to come back in. XLU also gets over the highs, fails. That one also looks to come back in. If I look at the XLV, which has been one of the strongest one, that one continues to be strong. So healthcare still looks good. So you got three sectors that look like they could go higher. Here's another failure, wants to come back in. So out of the 10, you got 3 that look like they can try to go higher. The rest of them look to come back in. So when I look at the sectors, just like last night, the sectors are suggesting that this market needs to work sideways. Sideways to down. So we'll see if the European strength is there in the morning. Now, if we don't get the European strength, right, and now remember the FTSE's almost done. The CAC is already stretched higher, and the DAX is coming up with no volume. So DAX is kind of a question mark. FTSE we know is about done, even though it's got good volume and will go again. CACs, who knows? I mean, it's a nice big stretch up there with not a lot of volume. If they do not trade higher and we come up in the morning, we'll get a gap down in the morning. We'll see if they buy that gap down like they did the last two. Okay? All right, so that's a decent wrap of what's happening. Let me see if I got any questions here. No questions there. And folks, you can, you know, there's ways to send messages and questions if you want. You can do it out of hours. You don't have to wait on me. Where am I going here? Here we go. You can pop in here. You know, you can send to these 3 ways. The chat room, of course. You can email me, or you can text message me anytime. You know, and I'll do whatever it is that you want to look at on the evening show whenever I do the broadcast. So you don't have to do it during the broadcast to get me to look at it. All right, so since I don't have questions, let me look at some other things that we usually don't have time to look at. And that is, let's take a look at the calendars right quick and see what these guys look like. So, calendar-wise, I know we got a lot of economic data this week. So we got German GDP in the morning. Oh, that will be interesting. Italian confidence. Case-Shiller, which is kind of old data, really. The Richmond Fed, that will be kind of interesting. So tomorrow we've got a couple big things, in particular the German GDP. That's going to be a big number. We'll see how that one comes out. I don't know if that's a second revision or not. It's for Q4. I think that's the first one. So it looks like the first time, that's the first number coming out. So that will be a big number, and that probably will define whether Europe is up or down. That's 2 a.m. our time, so that will define where we start tomorrow probably. And we got GDP in Great Britain the next day. So that's another big number the day after. In Great Britain, as we know, has skyrocketed into this. I would imagine that's a good sell the news case. We got GDP in China on Thursday, so you can see a lot of big numbers this week. Let's see what else. Unemployment. And most of them are overseas. So we got Fed talk. Yellen speaking on Thursday. We got Fed speeches on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Japan's got a lot of numbers. It looks like industrial production, retail sales on Thursday. That's going to be big for them. So we're just jam-packed here on economic news this week. So earnings are basically over. There's a few, you know, a few stragglers that are coming in this week. and then, you know, you really kind of go silent on that front for a while. It's really going to be economics. And so far, if you look at the economics and you look back at the first 2 months, there hasn't been, I would think maybe, you know, 20%, maybe 30% max has been positive, and the rest been negative. And it's all been blamed on weather so far, and that will continue to be the case for another a month or so. Or at least there's the possibility of, you know, bad weather for another month or so. But, you know, from the perspective of, you know, what's going to take this market higher, it's kind of hard to see it. You got a PMI here also on Saturday. Those PMI numbers, oh, that's going to be that's the end of the month too. So we got all the flash PMIs coming out next week, starting with China. So the data is going to drive these markets. Either we're going to see stronger economic numbers that are going to boost this market finally, because this market has ignored all the bad numbers so far, or we're going to see more bad numbers of which it probably can't ignore, or one of the two. So I do believe the economics are going to be the key, and it's probably going to cause some gyrations, which gets us back to that whole ideal of these markets potentially coming back down here and shaking the trees a little bit. I suspect that's what we're going to see. I thought that last night. I think it even more after what I saw today. All right, let me go look at some things that maybe we don't have a chance to look at most of the time. Let's look at some individual sectors like the gold sector. So GDX volumes tailing off. You fell at the highs. Boy, this looks like that one wants to come in. GDXJ, let's see what that one looks like. And that one he couldn't get back to the highs. So these look done to me. Let's look at the oil market. I didn't take a look at it. Actually, let's look at the sector, the OIH. Wow, boy, you got a nice volume expansion there, didn't you? Let's see what the weekly looks like. Yeah, that expansion is over the swing point high, 48.16, which had already which was today. This looks to carry, folks. If you're looking for an area, we were just talking about the energy market looking good. This has broken multiple swing points on this time frame, and also on the weekly time frame. So the oil services sector, and you can see the expansion of volume here. What I would prefer to have seen would be a better setup here, because this has already done its ABCD structure here, and actually you got another one. So you got another one now from here, right? That can carry it quite a bit higher. This is a good looking sector. Probably do some homework tonight and look in this sector and see what's moving in there. I could probably look at a few just off the top of my head. We could go to the sector trends and see what those are. You know, like here's Baker Hughes, for example, breaking out. Let me pop over to the sector trends and see what we got. Since I have time, which I usually don't, I got about 5 minutes left. Let me pop in here and look at some of these. We can look at them together and see what we can find. So I'll just put Baker Hughes in to get down to the group, and let's put it this way so we can see the most bullish ones. And I'm looking for some larger names here. Schlumberger, Bolt. Let's look at some of these. So SLB. Yeah, that's a nice breakout as well. Yeah, these are some nice breakouts, folks. That's a good looking pattern. Let's see what the weekly looks like. And it's going after the highs, and you got volume at 94.88. That looks to carry another couple bucks. It's not that big in a percentage wise. And Baker Hughes on its weekly, Yeah, see, this one's already broken out. This one is much more preferable in my mind. Let's see what Bolt looks like. Yeah, I don't know. That one doesn't look so great on the weekly. Let's see what the daily looks like. Yeah, not nearly as good. What else we got here? Newport Resources. That's a fairly large one. Yeah, that one's struggling. Oh, we're already down into sideways. Let's go back. Let's go down and look at the suspect bullish ones. Here we go. Okay, so these are the ones that are starting to break out. Here's the rest of them. So HAL. Yeah, nice big extension. That one's already done almost a full ABCD structure, it looks like. And it's testing the tops on the weekly. So that one should probably try to come back in a little bit. Tesoro, let's see what that one looks like. Yeah, boy, these look good, don't they? Yeah, see, this one's up here trying to break the highs out. See, now this, you know, when I'm looking for stocks, you know, I see a sector that's strong and it looks like it's going to do something. Then I just poke over and I go to the sector trends over here and I try to find those stocks, right? And just in case we're not on the same page here, let me pop back to sector trends. Sector trends is something that you can go find all the other stocks in the sector, and then you can sort it and you can find the ones that the charts are bullish, and you can just pop through them like I'm doing. As a matter of fact, you can just click on these and you can get all the charts, or I could click, for example, here and I could get the cube, right, and I could get the chart on it. But since I've already got the charts larger enlarged on mine, I'm using those. So it gives you an easy way to pop in here and just look at things. And so the idea being is that when you see, you know, when you see a situation where a sector looks strong, well, that sector's not strong by itself. There's stocks inside of it that are moving it. And so then you go look for those that haven't quite broken out yet, or just breaking out, like this one, right? Nice big, you know, I could take this larger range, and if I do the measurements on it, for example, you know, the bottom here is roughly 20, the top is roughly 21.25, so you got about a $1.25 probably move to the top side. You got volume at the top. This one is almost ready to bust out, and if it busts out, it's a $20 stock, so you're going to get roughly, you're going to get a pretty good percentage move on it. And so that's the sort of thing, you know, I like to look for. So that's a 4 or 5% move you could get. So anyway, all right, let's see here. No questions. I'm going to pop it out of here and call it a day. Then that's kind of the summary here. To me, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see European markets unable to really move much more. We open flat to down maybe, and we start probably shaking the trees a little bit here. When I say shake the trees, I was actually starting an article this night to be on Market Watch tomorrow, and the article basically was saying, or it will be saying, something to the extent of, you know, if you look at this, you had your push, right? You failed to stay up there. You're already fairly extended. More than likely, you're going to backfill some, and anybody that's along that's not strong, they're going to shake them right out of those long positions. But folks, this thing still wants to go higher, right? So even if that is what happens, then you're going to get a situation where this thing's going to come right back up, break out, and go again. As a matter of fact, if it does this, then the odds of this sticking and actually getting a much bigger push is greater. So if you're bullish, that's what you want to see happen. Have a great night, folks. Thanks for joining me. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Until then, let's listen to John and his music. Let's do Coming Home Baby.